Hey there. Welcome to the Gyro Step, a Milwaukee Bucks podcast, proudly a part of the Blue Wire Podcast Network and the Gyro Step Podcast Network. I am one of your hosts, Ti Windisch, joined as always by, it's her loss, Rohan Katti. If you follow Rohan on Twitter, you probably get that reference. If not, at Katti Jr. Rohan, how's it going?
It was a reference to the album that came out on Friday. Did you listen to that? By the way?
No, I haven't listened. The album cover, honestly, I didn't want to put it on yet. I need to really work up my nerve to play that album. I don't like the cover. It was all right. I'm sure it's good. I like Drake and 21 Savage, but
yeah. But overall, doing well. Happy to be here. Happy to be talking about the still undefeated, never lost Milwaukee Bucks. Ti.
So, as someone who took the only one, I believe, who took the Bucks over in our massive preview pod, not even I expected this. Like, my case for, I think it was 54-ish was the number. And it was like, well, they might start a little rocky, but then when they get healthy, they'll be able to go on a run because they're just better than all the other teams. And even with this, it's been a pretty easy schedule for the Bucks so far. I think not as cupcake as people thought. I'm talking to people in person over the weekend about the Thunder game without Chris, without Giannis. And I think there was a little bit of a lack of understanding. They were 4-4 going into that game. The OKC Thunder, Shea was player of the week, I think, or player of the month or whatever it was.
Week.
It kind of week. It was player of October, basically, right? But they don't call it a player of the month. But they've looked good. Their young players are playing well. Shea looks like an all-NBA guy right so far. So do 30 other guys because it's early. But and the Bucks just keep winning. I didn't expect them to start 9-0, best in franchise history. I think it's not. We don't put it in this context enough. They're down their two best wing players because I don't count Giannis. Giannis is Giannis. We say this Giannis is in his own category. How many teams would go 6-3 through this schedule without their two best wing players? That's an insane element of your team to just be completely without. And hopefully both of those guys will be coming back soon. It seems like there's been positive momentum with both. And then Giannis sits out the Thunder game and it's okay, classic trap game. It's 18 hours from the end of the Timberwolves game to the start of that game, plus travel.
Yeah, it was a red-eye flight, too.
A red-eye flight. No Chris, no Giannis, no Pat, no Ingles, no Mamu.
6th game in 8 days.
Yeah, and almost all of them were home games, but still, that is the ultimate. And this hungry Thunder team, and I think they beat, the Lakers twice or whatever, or maybe the Nuggets. They beat maybe a good team. The Lakers aren't good. But, this would be a big win for them. They could really, puff out their chests and say, hey, we've beaten multiple good teams now. Take us seriously. And the Bucks just win. They just keep winning. So this podcast, we're doing one big conceit on the Monday pods and then going player by player. The conceit is, how the hell are we here? How are we 9-0? The best start in Milwaukee Bucks franchise history, which I have some fun stats there. Went full win in 6, dug into the history. And the best start for any NBA team since the 15-16 Golden State Warriors, who went on to win 73 games. Don't think the Bucks are going to do that, but you never know.
Yeah. Before we get into it, by the way, make sure you subscribe wherever you're listening to this. Check everything out, all things GSPN at gspn.info if you want to go hate yourself and talk about the Green Bay Packers.
I was going to say, wait, I can do that better. I have a good idea to actually convince people to do that. If you're a negative Nancy Milwaukee sports fan and you're listening to this going, love the Gyro Step guys, but love the Bucks, but this is just too much positivity, sit through this pod and then go over to Talk of the Tundra where I imagine, I haven't gotten to listen to today's new episode yet. I imagine a lot less positivity going on after the Packers blow it on the road against the Lions. Aaron Rodgers, 3 interceptions. It's bad over there. So if you need your fix of Wisconsin sports nihilism, they got you. It's a great pod too. I think very cathartic
for
as well.
Bruisen's back too.
Yeah. Speaking of, again,
always popping.
If there's too much positivity, you can check out Cruising for a Bruising as well.
Yeah, I mean, the Brewers have won more recently than the Packers.
That is oofta. You know what? Could you imagine if I told you the Bucks would have more wins by November 6th than the Packers would get all year?
That's really depressing.
We're here. I mean, I don't think they're going to hit 9. Sorry, folks. Anyway.
One last plug.
Yeah.
Go vote, everyone.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. Election day, Tuesday, November 8th. Make sure you show up. Make sure you go vote. Please do it. It's very important. Very important elections, especially in the state of Wisconsin, but everywhere. Make sure you vote, please.
The NBA is doing a cool thing for this. Have you seen this?
Yes, there's no games on Tuesday.
But every team plays Monday, and they're all free on the NBA app as part of the Get Out. So I'm hoping there's going to be a lot of messaging to get more people to vote. I saw something after 2020, Bucks Wildcat strike, the Jacob Blake shooting, all of these things. I think the number is percentage of NBA players who vote flip from 22% to 90% after that.
Good.
And that's how we all need to vote. It's really important. So I'm glad you said that, Rohan.
Cool.
Okay, the Milwaukee Bucks.
Basketball.
So you go first. Let's just throw out reasons. We'll do all our player talk. There can be player talk in here as well. But how are the Bucks 9-0 without Giannis for a game, Chris and Pat for 9 games, Joe Ingles, whatever that means, for 9 games? Let's dive into this thing.
Number 1 for me, Mike Budenholzer.
Hey, there we go. We owe Bud an upstock, by the way. He hasn't gotten one yet this year.
We do.
We're gonna have to figure that out
for the Thunder game, but I forgot.
Yeah, that happens.
But Mike Budenholzer has been doing an exceptional job with rotations, with scheme, whether it's finding good players to balance out, let's say someone's struggling, the team is struggling on the offensive end, like we talked about last week. That hasn't really changed, but we're not gonna harp on that again. If you want to talk about or listen to us talk about the offensive issues, you can go to last week's episode here on the same feed. But Mike Budenholzer, I feel, has been doing a good job managing the personnel that he has. Like we mentioned, there's been a lot of injuries. This rotation is kind of depleted right now. And yet he keeps doing what he needs to do. He keeps pressing all of the right buttons, whether that's for example, in this Thunder game, it was if the offense is needing a little bit of an injection. Okay, let's spam Grace and Bobby actions because that's the best we can do right now. We just need to be able to find places to take advantage of the other team's defense and just, find ways to gut out wins and gut out scoring possessions, because it's been a struggle for the Bucks, but they've gotten through. And like we've talked about earlier, in previous episodes, defense has been spectacular all across the board. Schematically, everyone knows where they need to be. Rotations are crisp. It feels more simplified, but better. Everyone knows what they're doing within the system. And while also the players deserve a lot of credit for that, Bud does too.
100%. And I think the other thing for Bud, and I'll roll this after a quick thing on Bud into my first thing. But, there's been a lot of talk about all the new stuff the Bucks are doing on offense and defense. And I think after 2021 year, right? That was the year when they started switching more in the regular season and felt like there was a lot of breakdowns, and it was kind of ooh, are they even going to figure this out? The tweaks they're making on both ends have been more or less seamless, especially defensively. And it's a credit to all the players, of course. Everything good coaching also is a credit to players as well. That's how it works. But they're ready. They came in ready to play this new style, helping less, way more ball screens on offense, way more actions on offense. And I think the offense has been bad, but it feels to me more like a little bit of shooting variance and a little bit of just absence of talent versus bad scheme. I think they've consistently I missed the Thunder game, but I've seen pretty much every other game. They generate good looks. It's not like they don't. I mean, sometimes Jrue takes a ton of early shot clock shots, and I think he's 1 for 9 or something on his very early threes, which is clearly not ideal. But when the offense actually runs, I feel like they get pretty good looks. They're just not falling down. But the defense has just been exceptional, and it just feels like they're way more ready to go. And I know in the past, especially bubble era, we criticized Bud for not having the Bucks. It seemed like they weren't ready to play against the Magic or against the Heat. Right now they are. It feels like every single game they're dialed in, they come in ready. Did you actually see the Discord stat about time that they've trailed?
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
It's been 30 total minutes. I got to find out who. I don't think I pinned it. I should have, but I'm going to try and find this post quick because it's really cool research. But yeah, they've been up almost all the time in all of their games.
I think there's also something where it's like they've been up by 20 plus points, like nearly as much as they've been losing.
That would not shock me.
It's been pure dominance.
Yeah. And I just think that it's a great call out to Bud. And we should have talked about this more earlier. He's just had them ready to go, and everything is not everything, but enough things are working for them to still have a perfect record so far.
For sure.
I think it was Dovinia.
That sounds right.
Dovinia shared a pick. Side note, here's the game-by-game breakdown of trailing time. Oh, and this is updated. So in the first quarter against OKC, 5 minutes. In the Minnesota game, 20 seconds. Pistons total in both games, 28 seconds. Hawks, 7 minutes, so that was most of it. Or not most of it. Knicks, 20 seconds. Nets, 16 minutes. Rockets, none. Sixers, 1 minute. So 30 minutes total, only 57 seconds in the fourth quarter have the Milwaukee Bucks trailed. It's
wild.
only against the Sixers and I think the Hawks for a couple of seconds.
It's crazy. Also, by the way, that's a good place to plug gspn.info Discord access form in there.
Yeah, well, Twitter's going down the tubes.
Yeah, if Bird app's dying, so if you want to talk Bucks, get into the GSPN Discord.
Yeah, great call. Let's get everyone in there. It's going to be Utopia. A lot of great Bucks talk. Also, other Wisconsin sports talk. That's not Utopia,
and other things,
and a lot of other things. I mentioned history. So
yes, I'm excited for this stat time.
The Bucks have had a 66 win season and a 63 win season with that Kareem Abdul-Jabbar fella, also known previously as Lou Alcindor, of course. I was looking it up because I thought kind of surprising that they never. I mean, it's hard to win 9 straight games, clearly, but Kareem does stuff that's hard all the time. Kind of all he did. Kareem, insane. Every Kareem stat is insane. Yeah, true. So the 63-win season, which was 71-72, they lost Game 8 to Boston, and then they ended up 17-1 after that. So it's not like they started slow. It was just one timely loss. The 70-71 season, literally almost the exact same deal, except they lost Game 2 at Detroit. So they're 1-1 after 2 games. This is the title team. They won 66 games that year. And then they go on to win 16 straight after that and also end up 17-1. So not like those teams started slow, but it just goes to show how easy it is to drop one early. You know, it's hard to keep winning. I think the Bucks, this year's Bucks, probably not played any teams as good as assuming the Pistons were good then still. I actually don't know.
Yeah.
No, they weren't. They were 45-37 that year. So that was kind of an upset game, actually. The Celtics are always good though, so that one's not surprising. But yeah, that's the history. But I was gonna say, and this is almost the same as Bud, but I was gonna say culture for why they keep winning. I mean, specifically a culture of defense, and that's how they're doing it, like on the court. But I think you look around the league, and there's teams like, you know, how many teams could weather these many guys being out and, you know, bad variance, like some really bad performances by some players. Like Grayson Allen, thankfully, really came through off the bench against the Thunder, which we're going to have a whole convo about that now. But like Grayson Allen, I don't think had played all that well to start the year. Had not shot well, some really bad turnovers here and there in games. Jevon Carter was ice cold before that game and continued to start, but really like was shooting 23% from 3 or maybe worse, and similar from the field. Jrue Holiday, until about 5 games ago, was just not able to hit a layup. Like his shots are not going in. We talk about the playmaking, the defense, but shot making wise, he simply had not had it. And again, against the Thunder, he was 3 for 10 against OKC. You know, MarJon Beauchamp didn't really get to play, has an amazing game against the Timberwolves, then is bad against the Thunder. I thought Bobby Portis started slow and then has really come on. The point is, like, there's been no issues. And of course they're undefeated, but there's been, like, within the team, you can just tell they're just all on the same page. Nobody cares if a guy is like, you know, oh, the shots aren't going in. Like, we hear every time we hear Giannis talk to a shooter, all he says is just keep shooting them. Like, just keep shooting them.
Remember the Thon Maker quote?
Yeah, he said he's going to punch him in the face or something?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, I keep telling him, if you hesitate, I'm going to punch you.
Yes. But that's like everything about the Bucks is just like, just do your part, get better every day. They love to say that. You know, shoot open shots, defend your ass off. And that's all they do. And it just feels like in spots. I mean, of course, they're undefeated. You wouldn't expect big drama, but it would be easy to drop a couple of these games and then for there to be a little bit of like just hard feelings, I guess, like negativity about some of these players. There certainly has been online, but it just feels like the Bucks don't care. Like they're just a machine. They're so next man up, and it's a deep roster. Credit to John Horst that guys can keep stepping up and playing well. But I just think like this is the culture of just like everyone trusting each other. And then you have, it feels like almost a different guy coming through every night. I mean, I would say Giannis, Brook, and then Bobby, and then Jrue mostly have been like the 4 most consistent guys. And outside of that, and Bobby and Brook, I think there's a wide range in how much they do in any given game. Other than that, it's just like random guys will pop up here and there. And it's just like, okay, yeah, it's your night tonight. And I just think that's like an underrated, cool thing about this Bucks team.
Yeah, there's like everyone. We always like it's easy to say, oh, next man up mentality. This team embodies that, right? It's like there's no actual hierarchy to it. I mean, there theoretically is because it's like obviously we're not going to say like Giannis is the same player as Serge Ibaka or anything. But there is like everyone does feel like they can contribute to a game. Everyone can feel like, hey, maybe this is my night. But it's not in a sort of way, unless you're Jordan Nwora, where it's like, I'm just going to go take shot after shot after shot. Shout out to Jordan Nwora.
Yep.
But it's just, I think you put it best. The culture really, really stands out. It's just, it feels like a team that's like, we talked about this in the offseason. This team, like continuity really helps. Like this feels like a team that's played together for years now. And that's because a lot of them have. Like aside from Serge and Jevon and I guess Joe Ingles, like everyone and Beauchamp, everyone else has been on this roster for at least 2 seasons.
Has Grayson? No.
And Grayson.
Yeah, I was going to say year 2 for Grayson.
And Mamu, I guess.
Yeah. Well, look at it. Here's a specific example. The Thunder game. Grayson Allen sits on the bench and watches Jevon Carter and MarJon Beauchamp start the game. And it's like, does he pout? Anything else? No, he goes out and he lead the team and score. No, Brook had more, but he has 19 points.
He had a season high 19 points.
Yeah, 5 for 6 shooting from deep, 2 steals, a block. Like everyone just feels like they're just so focused on winning, and that's it. And I think that's you're not 9-0 without that. Even with a kind of mid schedule with the injuries they've had and just how the NBA works, it takes that. I think this is a special group, and I think they're going to be able to do special things in the regular season and certainly in the playoffs.
Yeah, you mentioned this is a little bit of a tangent, but you mentioned we both went, or you went over, I went under on the Milwaukee Bucks, or I think I had a push or something.
You might have pushed, yeah.
What do you think the win total gets to?
I think they're going to threaten 60.
I think they will too. You know what's funny? I was looking at their schedule. This obviously isn't going to happen. Maybe, who knows? But the 27th game, not the 25th game of the season, is against the Warriors. Can you imagine if the Warriors are wearing like 26 and 1 shirts? Oh my God.
That might be all they have to root for, given the way their season is going.
I would love it so much if that actually happened. Could you imagine if you show up to what is it, Oracle now?
No, it's
not Oracle. Chase Center. Center. And there's just a bunch of people wearing 26 and 1 shirts.
Real quick side note. Remember how the West...
It's a home game. Duh.
Oh, well, they can travel. The top of the West felt so spooky before the year. Like, Clippers, is Kawhi going to play this year again? Hopefully, but he hasn't played in, like, weeks. And I don't even think... It doesn't seem like there was a specific re-injury. It's just whatever's going on with Kawhi, which we have to say every year now. And the rest of their team is not winning that many games. The Warriors' young guys look like a mess. And I just have to say, after hearing about, they did the dual path thing successfully. That's all we heard for months. Where was the evidence that they did? They tried it. Like, when was Kuminga's 30-piece in the finals? Like, Andrew Wiggins and Kevon Looney and Steph, of course, were the guys who were winning them those games. Like,
well, yeah. It's the thing is they were able to survive the minutes where the young guys were in were good because they had guys like Otto Porter Jr., like GP2.
But the young guys weren't.
Now it's Dante and now Dante's hurt. But
it's
Dante and who else? JaMychal Green.
Yeah, those are going to have to be the guys now because those young guys.
I like JaMychal Green, but he's not out of Porter Jr.
I appreciate the Warriors not taking LaMelo instead of Wiseman and Franz Wagner instead of Kuminga, so the NBA is still fun.
It's not even that though. Like they keep playing Wiseman, even though he's clearly not good.
He's bad, yeah.
And they're just not playing Kuminga, but that's besides the point.
Yeah, but the Nuggets have just like Murray has not looked very good at all so far, which it's going to take some time. But they have not looked like the world beaters we kind of expected. The Wolves are kind of in shambles. The Cavs are really good. Like there's some other teams popping up.
Do you see the Anthony Edwards play?
Where he just didn't move. Nekias posted.
Yeah, I think Nekias posted that.
Oh yeah, I don't want to do it too early like I did with the Suns, who also look really good again. It may get KD because the Nets are blowing up here. But anyway, back to the Bucks. That's enough general NBA.
No, we didn't say. Yeah, you said 60s. They'll push 60.
Yeah, I think they'll push 60.
What if they get to 70?
It's just so difficult, and it's like, the only way is if they can seamlessly slide in Pat and Chris, which probably, but it has been a while now that they've had to play without Chris, dating back to the Celtics series. But if he steps in and looks good, like I think the one, if they could do high 60s, if they integrate the wings seamlessly, and Chris has the Brook thing. Of like, it's actually good I didn't play much over the last several months. I kind of needed that, right? Like, if Chris comes back and he's a little better defensively than last time we saw him and looks good offensively too, it's not impossible. But it's like the 1% optimistic scenario.
That's fair. Maybe I'm just drinking the Kool-Aid too early this morning.
Yeah, I need to see him play some better teams. They played some good teams, but no teams that are like, yeah.
I mean, who's the best team they've played? Philly?
Probably. And I don't even think they're that. I mean, the Knicks were good, and then they've kind of cratered since they lost to the Bucks.
They have a better record than the Sixers.
Hawks? Are the Hawks good this year?
Yeah. They're 6-3, yeah.
Yeah, so that might be, by record, that's probably the best team they have beaten so far.
Get them again twice this week, including tonight, if you're listening.
Is that the whole season?
Might be.
It has to be, right? Yeah, they don't play a non-division team 4 times, so that's it. Wow.
Yeah, they play them today, Monday the 7th, and then Monday the 14th.
I will say this is, I think people can, not many people, I think people are just enjoying this, as are we, which is what you should do. But I think it's easy to kind of discredit and say like, oh, whatever, it's early season because the NBA year is so long. It's still important, even if let's say they don't end up pushing 65 wins or whatever. Bank these wins now for when even more guys are out and get some tiebreakers going. They already got one against Philly. You got one against Brooklyn won't matter. Then they're a lottery team. But if you can take the season series with Atlanta now, a team that looks pretty good, and just have that banked for later, it's a big deal.
Plus, it's not even super insignificant. It's almost 11% of the entire regular season has been played already.
Yeah.
10.97%, I think.
Yeah, they will certainly.
It's not insignificant. Sure, they're going to run into a stretch here where they play the Spurs. I guess I have to include them.
Yeah,
they're all right. Then they play the Hawks.
November 16th. That's a must watch.
Yep, it is.
That's the game.
Bucks versus the Cleveland Cavaliers, who look amazing.
Yeah, they look really good. I mean, it's probably unlikely. I would love if we could get at least one of Chris or Pat back for a game or two before then. If not both, I would really like to see the full strength Bucks go against that Cavs team. That feels like a game where they might really get up for just to kind of send a message, right? Oh, you guys think we remember when we were you. I remember 18, 19.
The thing is the Cavs will do the same thing.
Oh, for sure. I mean, I think the Cavs are still in that fun part where they're just I think they're doing that for everyone.
It's like the first Bud year.
That's what I'm saying. It's 18, 19.
Yeah.
I think the Cavs have no shortage of motivation, right? Mitchell has stuff to prove, and that whole team, they don't want to be in the play-in, right? They want to be in the playoffs. The Bucks aren't going to do that for every game, but I think the Cavs. I'm really looking forward to that. I hope both teams are healthy.
That stretch where it's Cavs, Sixers without Harden, but Blazers who look really good, Bulls and Cavs, Mavs. That's going to be a tough stretch. Yeah,
the end of November and then at Knicks, and then you get a really easy back-to-back versus Lakers at Hornets. So that's nice at least. They give us an easy part after that. You know, one thing, I remember this earlier when I looked at the schedule too. I just didn't really see like the hell part of the schedule. And it might just be that the Bucks are really good. I mean, they have a hard part mid-December. That's probably the hardest part.
They have a road not back-to-back, 2 and 3 in Miami.
Oh yeah, that's probably 2 losses right there.
Yeah.
The Heat have not been good, but in Miami is.
No, the first one is the second of a back-to-back, so it's a 3 and 4.
Oh, so that might be better.
I know, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
it's better. They play in Atlanta, then the next day they play in Miami, day off, then in Miami.
That second one is going to be.
But pencil the second one in as well.
Does anybody on the Bucks not drink? Because if they do, they need to start. I don't care who it is on their roster.
I don't think anyone's young enough to not.
I mean, it could be a personal choice.
No, yes, yeah. But I don't think we have to worry about age.
No, not on this roster. How old is MarJon? Like 22?
Yeah, 22.
Yeah, that's the young guy on the team. Meanwhile, that's like the average age of the Houston Rockets. Like,
who are really liking this Brooklyn collapse.
Oh my god, dude! It's so. We'll get back to Bucks, I promise. And this was mostly Bucks, but the fact that there is, I'll say, a non-significant chance that the Lakers or Nets pick is used to take Wembanyama and they don't get him is hilarious. Terrifying that he could go to the Pelicans, who already look really good, but simply hilarious for the league.
It's like the Nets Celtics deal, but I think worse.
If it's Wemby, it's way worse.
No, especially because the Pelicans are already good.
No, it would be
Boston wasn't already good when they were taking. Like, if they they were fine, but
they were like 40s wins, scrappy team good.
Yeah, they were like Isaiah Thomas Celtics, which they were all right, but then they're taking Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum. This is a contender who could take Wembanyama.
The funny thing was, it felt like Pels fans when they had all those picks. We're probably more excited about the Bucks picks. Like, they have the 27 Bucks pick, right? And it's like, oh man, if Giannis is gone by then or whatever, like they're an old team. And it seems like the Lakers picks are gonna. I mean, we'll see what happens with the Bucks. That is a long time from now. But I mean, they're gonna get a top 10 player in the draft because of the Lakers this year. And I'm just like, that's going to happen. The Lakers are bad. Sorry, Darvin, who I think is not doing a great job, but he's trying. But they're just bad.
I feel like he's not given the proper tools.
No, of course not. And all the politics and stuff there is making it. It's tough for him because, like, not only is the roster much worse, the culture is abysmal there. Like, he really walked into a poverty situation.
For sure. And it's just tough. Bill Simmons apparently said AD might be on the market.
Would you trade for Anthony Davis right now? I wouldn't if I'm the Bucks. I would sniff around KD, and I think he's on the market. I just don't think they have the stuff still. Anthony, like, the fit's not there. I've thought about this too with some of these guys who it's like they're just depreciated assets. Like, you could go get Ben Simmons for nothing. I think like they're saying, like Zach Lowe keeps saying, you can't even trade him because his trade value is so low. And I do think there are like contenders or semi-contenders who should be like, let's roll the dice on this guy. The upside is there if you can get him for like literally nothing. But the Bucks fit is just so bad. You never could. It
really is. And I want to push back a little bit on saying comparing Anthony Davis to Ben Simmons because Anthony Davis has actually been very good this season.
Yeah, but
he's been one of the top.
I'm not comparing them as players, but available guys. I
understand.
Available guys.
I'm trying to make that
clear. Yeah. No, that's a good call. Anthony Davis, you have to give up real assets for.
Yes.
Ben Simmons, I think you could just be like, hey, here's salary. We'll take Ben. I don't know if anyone will, but.
Yeah, I think the context of that was Simmons and KOC discussing Bam and AD swap.
Why would the Heat ever?
I mean, Bam's like
yeah, but AD on the Heat with that workout regimen? I'll give him a month. Like, what? He's gonna perish.
Pat Riley's gonna kill that dude.
Yeah, he literally is like, yeah, I don't touch a basketball all off season. Jimmy Butler's gonna show up at his house and like throw stuff at him.
He's gonna show up. He's gonna install a basketball court in his bedroom.
Yeah, Bam is the ultimate like cautionary tale of do not assume progression is linear.
But his middy's fire, right, Ty?
Oh my god! Let's back to the Bucks. Do you have any other big picture stuff, or should we start going player by player?
Let's go player by player because I think that's a better way to facilitate this discussion.
Yeah.
Because one guy I want to start with, who you mentioned was kind of ice cold, but is still one of the main reasons the Bucks are 9-0 is Jevon Carter.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm excited to talk about this.
Like, sure, like you mentioned, it hasn't been the prettiest shooting. Aside from, there was a stretch in the Thunder game. You didn't watch this, but in the third quarter, he was just lights out. Like, he was coming up, he was hitting threes off screen, step backs, and I was like, oh my
God.
He
needs that confidence.
That's that GSPN bump right there.
Yeah.
But like he was 5 of 9 from 3 in that game. And even 2 of 3 in the Timberwolves game. But before that, he hadn't made a 3 in 4 games.
Yeah.
It's not that I'm very happy with. It's just the Bulldog defense, man.
Yeah.
Like we've talked this to death, I feel like. But just the way that he gets into guys, the way he just bullies them, picks them up full court, always, you can see it in the offensive player's eyes, like, oh, great, he's still here. Like, he's gonna hit a big 3, and then he's gonna go walk right up to the baseline to go face guard you.
Yeah.
That type of two-headed monster defense with him and Jrue Holiday is spectacular. We both had concerns about Jevon Carter starting for this team.
Mm-hmm.
We thought maybe him as a backup point guard would be better. And sure, you can still have him in that role as like a starter among bench units, and maybe when Chris and Pat come back, maybe more so Pat, but I'm not sure.
Yeah,
you see, like, yeah, he can be really good on ball. That'd be a good role for him. He's really good off ball too.
Yeah,
and just as a defender, as like a guy who can come off screens, hit threes, catch and shoot threes, he's really good at that too.
Yeah. No, I think he is like, and we've talked about this player archetype a lot in the past, but like the Bucks with the way they're built, and I do think offensively, his life will be much easier when Chris is back because he just won't touch the ball as much, which sounds like a negative, but it's not.
No, he'll get easier looks too.
But like, I think also just less.
Yeah, but true.
Yeah,
but also,
both.
The defense isn't going to bend to him because right now the defense kind of has to bend to him because he's one of the only shot creators on this team.
Yeah. But I think like it feels like, I mean, a Thunder game aside, and hopefully he can take something from that. He just doesn't seem like he wants to shoot 8 times a game, right? And that can be tough for a starter. This is on this version of the Bucks without Chris. Like it's hurt them, and that's why we gave him one down stock a week ago. Because like he just wasn't shooting and wasn't making shots. I think that's a bad combo. That made the offense a little bit stale. But I think with Chris back, assuming Jevon still starts, which I actually think is very much on the table at this point, like then he can probably shoot 4 or 5 times a game and it's fine because he's still giving you the spacing and of course the defense. And now it's like he's good moving off ball, which is really important. And he can use the dunker a little bit, but he certainly is moving around on the perimeter. Like all he has to do is basically orbit Chris, Jrue, Giannis. And we've talked about this before is like, that's such a good fit for this starting lineup. If someone who doesn't need the ball, but can work with it on and off, like on shoot and driving. And that's just like, I think he'll fit much better. Defensively,
like this is not a good comparison, but I feel like the archetype is there. I'm not comparing these two players. It's like Delhi on steroids.
Oh yeah, for me. I was thinking like Brogdon, but like much less on ball stuff. Because
Brogdon's not giving you bulldog defense though.
No, he's like a fine, bigger guard defender.
He's a good system defender.
Yeah. But here's where I flipped on Jevon because I was talking about starting someone over him or whatever. I think in the last week, since our last pod, I've been watching closely, and I think they really love what he allows Jrue Holiday to do on defense. And I think versus like Wes Matt, and we'll have to talk about Wes, who's just not playing much, which I find very interesting given he's not playing super well either, but given the amount of guys out, it's very, very interesting. But I think the Bucks enjoy having Jrue to go on wing players, and then they don't have to worry because really the version of the Bucks, whether it doesn't matter, any of the starting lineups where it's Jrue and then any two of Wes Matthews, Grayson Allen, Chris Middleton, if there's any dynamic small guard, Jrue has to guard them, and then you're stuck putting those other guys on the wing players. And like Chris, again, has not been the same defender. We'll see when he comes back. Grayson is I think, a fine positional defender, like worse than Brogdon, but he's okay. And Wes is a good defender, but offensively, there's a lot of question marks. And they just didn't have that much flexibility. Whereas now, having a guy that you're confident in putting on the Trae Youngs of the world really opens things up where you can say, Jrue, like wherever you need to go. Like the Pistons game, it stuck out to me because Jaden Ivey is like a dynamic weapon. And one of those games, he really did hurt the Bucks. But you can put Jevon Carter on that guy and then Jrue on Cade Cunningham. And we know this is a league that outside of some teams like the Hawks, like it's a league driven by Cavs. It's a league that's often driven by star wing players. And being able to put Jrue on basically anyone they need to is a huge benefit to the defense. And as we've talked about, they have the best defense in the league. It's like a 1.5 better, I think, net rating than the Cavs, who are number 2. And I think part of the reason is they've really opened up Jrue and made it so, I'll bring a Packers comp. They don't have Jair on one side of the field here for the Bucks, right? Like Jair's going wherever he wants, Jair being Jrue Holiday, and guarding whoever he needs to guard. And I think those teams too, like the Hawks and the Cavs, you feel a lot better also. I mean, not like Jrue can't guard the small guys. Now you have Jevon and Jrue guarding the star backcourts, right? So Trae Young and DeJounte Murray, Darius Garland and Donovan Mitchell, if they're both playing together. Now you have 2 guard defenders you feel great about as well. So I think the flexibility on defense is really why that Jevon is getting these starts. And I mean, best defense in the league, 9-0. I think it's hard to say it's not working.
Yeah, it's like you have another version of Jrue Holiday.
Yeah, but a limited one like to guards.
A compact version of Jrue Holiday.
Yeah.
Like a this is gonna sound really mean, but I don't make like a Halloween fun size candy.
Oh man, come on. One last note on this before I hand it back over. Especially given the new defense, this makes a lot of sense. Yeah, because now that they're trying to help less and just trusting guys to effectively funnel to Brook or not, but I mean that's the worst case, right? Is you funnel into Brook and Brook takes care of it. You really need to trust the defense in front of you. And Jevon and Jrue, like I'll say there's no better combination of perimeter defenders. I don't know. Is that true? It's got to be up there.
Yeah, I can't think of any off the top of my head.
I'll say this. Nobody has a group of 4 in their starting lineup like Jevon Carter, Jrue Holiday, Giannis Antetokounmpo, and Brook Lopez.
No, it's an embarrassment of riches.
It's like if like the Cavs have the back line, but the Bucks have that plus an elite front line.
Yeah.
Like that's the real, I think, simplest answer. That's why they're 9-0. Because they have the defensive personnel to make everyone's life hell.
If at least 2 Bucks are not first team all defense, I will be upset.
That's a sham. Yeah.
If a Buck isn't at least top 2 in defensive player of the year.
Here's my awards ballot today. Giannis MVP, Brook Lopez DPOI, Brook Lopez most improved, Bobby Portis 6th man of the year. What award? MarJon Beauchamp rookie of the year? No, maybe not. Go. Maybe not after the Thunder game.
Hey, the Wolves game was really good though.
The Wolves game was great. Should we talk about MarJon?
Yeah, let's do it.
I feel like not as essential to the 9-0, but obviously an exciting story. And
you saw the Wolves game more than I did.
I was tweeting out of pocket, my guy. Like, woo! And then of course he goes and misses 8 or 9 shots against the Thunder.
It's because I was there. That's why.
And first start, maybe some jitters. I do think MarJon has been a little susceptible to the rookie stuff, which makes sense. I mean, everything he's been through. And like not really played. I mean, the highest level competition he played was G League, which is there, but like they were like an exhibition G League team. Like it's just different.
The Ignite prior to this season were not a full G League team. They were not like playoff eligible or anything.
Yeah,
they did not play a full season.
Yeah,
now they are.
You're right.
But when Beauchamp was there, they were not.
Yeah, and otherwise it's been like high school like AAU style leagues, and that's about it. So. I think a JUCO year or something, but like I get it. Not to say like it makes sense. He's now playing and now against the Thunder, starting in the NBA. I would be pretty, I think, not rattled, but I'd have my eyes wide open as well. But the Wolves game, he just looked like such a perfect wing player for this Bucks team, making and taking corner threes. Both are important. Getting to the rim, drawing free throws. Like in that game, I want to say maybe he had 4. I do have the box score up here somewhere.
He had
No.
No, he had
Only one free throw. Oh, I must be thinking of a different game. Yeah, he missed it. But
it was the Pistons game where he went to the line twice.
Thank you. 14 points, 5 boards, made 2 of his 4 corner threes, made 4 of his 6 shots from 2, and he just kept getting to the rim. And I think the biggest eye-popping play was he gets the pass from Giannis in the left corner, has Naz Reid on him, Naz Reid gave Giannis problems. Like, when Cat fouled out, it was harder for the Bucks because Naz Reid checked back in. Naz Reid is good. Like, Naz Reid should play more. But Beauchamp's got him in the corner, and he kind of dekes him a little bit, goes left on baseline, and just annihilates the rim. And everyone had the same take.
1 foot dunk.
Everyone had the same take. Nobody on the Bucks for the past 3 years besides Giannis could do this. Like, literally, nobody else. Maybe TA, I think getting there could be more of an adventure. Like, and MarJon's handle is too. He travels a lot. Like, it's still a work in progress. He's probably not ready to step up.
He's a late first round pick rookie who needs to learn the game.
And he's going to have more opportunity to do so from the sideline when these guys get healthy. And his minutes or with the hurt as well. But the flashes are certainly there. And I think that's all you can ask for. But I'll say this. My favorite MarJon play was not that in that game. I don't know if you remember, probably against the Pistons. It was. He gets the ball in transition. Giannis is also in transition. And he looks him off, tries to take to the basket, and can't finish. I'll say over 1.5 defenders. Like, there was a guy there and kind of another guy to the side. And I remember saying, you like to see him take the ball and try to make a splash play. But Giannis in transition, you just have to know. On the Bucks, like, that's the guy. Against the Wolves, there's a play where he gets the ball in semi-transition, immediately passes to Giannis. And they're pretty much level with each other, but he just goes, no. Like, I learned that one. You're the guy. Giannis draws 3 defenders, gets the ball back to MarJon. He puts it in for a layup. And it's just like, that's how you learn during the game of like, okay, I don't need to do this myself on this team. Like, I don't need to do anything myself. If I play off Giannis, I'll get all the shots I need. And the highlight tape that's going around, I think Box and One shared, like all of his makes or all of his makes from that game, 5 of the 6 were directly on passes from Giannis. The 6th was Giannis to Wes on the short roll to MarJon. So I think that, to me, and of course Giannis doesn't play in this Thunder game, which maybe has something to do with MarJon not playing as well.
It's like the anti-Grayson Allen. You need the good players.
Yeah. But it makes sense. And I think that's the best thing for his year this year and going forward. If he can just perfectly mold to be one of those guys who just fits around Giannis and is like, use the space. Yeah.
Yeah. If you want to carve out a role on this team, you need to be able to play with Giannis. That's obviously.
Yeah.
And he's showing he can right away. Like, that's half of Giannis's assists in that game.
Yeah. And he had a triple-double.
Yeah. It's ridiculous. Like, I'll take a little bit of victory. Like, one of the reasons I was super high on him coming into the draft is like, sure, that eye-popping dunk is fine. Like, it's good. It's really good. You can't teach that. You absolutely cannot teach how to have that level of burst and athleticism and just going to the rim with that tenacity. You can study tape. You can study like anything you want. You can break down all the film you want. Like, that's like learning how to swim online. You can't do that.
I've tried.
Wait, serious?
No. But
okay, but you just you either have that or you don't.
Yeah.
He has it. You can learn everything else, but you can't do that. You can't learn that.
I tweeted this after the game, but I just cannot wait until we can see like Jrue Holiday, MarJon Beauchamp, Chris Middleton, Giannis, Brook lineups. That's what I need. I need that more than air or water was my exact quote. Like,
you got me feeling some things, Tom.
Yeah, like that, like the amount of wings, like if MarJon isn't ready to play, like later this, and he's ready to play now, but like ready to play more consistently. Like obviously the Thunder game was a total stinker.
I mean, he's been constantly ramping up in minutes. Like maybe almost 25 minutes is a lot for him. Yeah,
especially this early. It is
and
important to note
he did foul out of that game also.
He gets the start and plays more minutes than Jordan Nwora, despite fouling out, and Nwora had no fouls. So I do think that now to me is flipped. And we'll see. Maybe it'll change after that game. But I think like we've talked about that pecking order, that hierarchy or whatever. I think Warrior had his chance. I think it's about done. I know he played 22 minutes, but that's because Giannis is out and all the other guys. Like, I think now MarJon, I think, has slid above him because he's better defensively already, even with the fouls.
Yeah, can we talk about the defense?
Yeah.
It's like his screen navigation looks like he's an NBA vet.
Yeah.
Like,
and the other thing you can't teach.
He knows how to use his space. He knows how to use his length. It's ridiculously high defensive IQ and defensive acumen for a rookie.
Yeah. The other thing you can't teach is the hustle, and he's never taken a playoff. And that's the kind of thing. I know a lot of people said this after the Wolves game on offense, like the ball finds energy, which is true. But I think defensively, like Bud finds energy and keeps energy in the game. And that's like,
why doesn't TA play?
He fouls even more than Beauchamp does. That's the thing he has to work on most, of course, is the fouling. You never want to foul out of a game.
Which is typical for a rookie.
Yeah, it is. And it's better. Was this you or someone else? Henry Ettinger was telling me this. Hedging Henry on TikTok, if you're on there, who I work at Blue Wire with. He saw a study where I forget who we were talking about, but it's better as a young player to have too many fouls because it shows you are active defensively. Like you're more likely to be a great defender if you foul a ton early versus like you barely ever pick up fouls because it's unlikely you're that involved in the play, and you have to learn how to not foul. And the more you establish yourself, the more you get the benefit of the doubt on those calls as well as the Marcus Smart rule.
Yeah, and also it's important to note, like coming into this game, he had 5 total fouls.
Yeah, I mean,
it hasn't been
not many minutes, but yes.
Yeah. But it's like the previous game where he plays 18 and a half minutes, he has 2 fouls. He plays 16, 2 fouls. This game, 25 minutes, 6 fouls.
That is still like a 4+ foul per 36. It's still a lot of fouls. It's just he hasn't played that much. I think he'll have to work on it, but it's fine. It's not something you wouldn't expect. So, if he can knock down the threes consistently this year, I do think he could have, toward the end of the bench, rotational opportunities. Maybe not if Ingles looks good because then you're running out of spots, but Beauchamp is exciting.
Getting down the stretch, Bud's going to trust his vets, which in this case it's understandable. Like this is a very, very deep roster, with very like high end wing talent. Yeah. So if you see Beauchamp sort of slide out towards the end of the season, that's understandable. But this is what we wanted. This is the opportunity. Like early season, wings are injured. Give Beauchamp a shot. Herd aren't in season. Oh no, the Herd are in season.
They are. They
just kicked off their season on the 4th.
Yeah, 4th, and they had a back-to-back, of course. Shout out the G League.
Yeah. Yeah. Were we? There's potential for us being at a game on Wednesday.
Oh, yeah. Me remembering that for the first time in 2 weeks. We'll talk after the pod. But yeah, there is. That's intriguing. Potential. Okay, so that's Beauchamp. I think War we kind of covered too. Same guy. He's the same guy. It looked good early.
He really is.
Catch and shoot threes, but I think just mostly the same guy. Talked about Jevon. Let's do Bobby Portis and Brook Lopez.
I was going to say, we got to do Bobby.
So, what do you have, 21 rebounds against the Thunder?
Yes. I was telling you this before we started recording, but I was at the Thunder game, and I just look up at the box score, like, and on the Jumbotron, and I turned to my friend. I was like, is that wrong? Because it was like at some point during the second quarter, I believe, Bobby Portis had 17 rebounds. I was like, what? Because it's one of those things where it's hard to pick up, like if you're just sitting there watching the game. I was like, wait a second. I checked the NBA app. I checked ESPN. I checked the Bucks app. I was like, is something wrong here? No, Bobby's just gobbling up the boards, man.
So I remember it was probably after like 4 or 5, maybe 5 games. I think it was that pod when they were 5-0. And I was like, I'd just like to see more of the energy splash plays from Bobby Portis. And it feels like since then, every single game, he has brought it either on the glass, offensive or defense, or the scoring, or both. And like, he's just been monumental. And I do feel like if you don't want to say outside of the defense, the other big thing, the Bucks bigs, all 3 of the ones who play regularly, sorry, Serge, Giannis, Brook, and Bobby, have been awesome this season. And it feels like they all are just really hitting their strides at the same time in different ways. Bobby was only 5 for 15 against the Thunder. He missed a lot of his twos, which we know he takes tough twos usually. But still, when you're adding 21 rebounds in a game against a smaller team, like we know those second chance points or just, firming up the boards on the other end. He had 4 offensive, 17 defensive. That just gives the Bucks more opportunities and increases the margin. And increasing the margin is how you start 9-0 instead of 6-3 or whatever else. Bobby has just been awesome. 2 for 5 from deep, shooting the ball really well. Feels like there's been multiple games. And I'm not saying this was one of them because I think they shot pretty well overall. Not great. But there's been multiple games where it feels like he's been the guy to bust them out of an offensive slump by just like hitting a 1-dribble 3 or a no-dribble 3 or something. Just really awesome play over the last 5-6 games here. And a huge part of why they're still undefeated.
For sure. And I think a lot of the 2-point misses against the Thunder, like a couple of them were like bunnies at the rim. Like, I think he had 4 offensive rebounds. I think 3 of them on the same possession.
Yeah.
Because he just kept like grabbing the board, missing the tip, getting the board, missing the tip.
Yep, we've all been there.
It's the Ersan Ilyasova. But it's just been amazing. Like a lot of the rebounds were probably because of Brook boxing out.
Oh yeah,
like, Brook I think only had like a few rebounds.
He had 3. Classic Brook.
It's classic Brook. Because I was like Bobby had 17 and Brook had 1. I was like, yeah, Brook has a lot to do with that.
Yeah.
But credit to Bobby. He's been playing absolutely incredible. He's been what this team needs. Like we've mentioned. Again, the offense is kind of bad.
Yeah.
But Bobby is one of the guys on this team who will go and take and make shots. And he's doing the thing.
Another one of those guys, Brook Lopez, who just I said this last year, the underrated story of the NBA season was the Bucks not having Brook Lopez. And I shared like a bunch of their net ratings, like with Giannis and Brook on. And every year outside of that year, they're like +9 or better. Like they just kill teams. This year, it doesn't even need Giannis on. Brook is killing teams when he's on the floor. He's +13, which was second on the Bucks. Only George Hill. George Hill always is. George Hill +94 in a game they win by 2. It doesn't make any sense. But Brook, 25 points, 3 boards, 1 assist, 1 steal, 1 block, 3 turnovers, 4 for 9 from 2, 4 for 9 of 3, 6 for 7 from 2, made his only free throw. Like, he just does everything well this year. It's insane. Like, we never could have expected this. And it is, if you had to single out one player, I think you have to say Giannis first. It's Brook second, though, for why they're undefeated. Like, he looks great at everything. He's great in the roll. He's catching lobs. He's making his mid-range jumper. He's making his threes. Like, every single thing.
He's taking turnaround Dirk fades every game.
And making them.
Going in. Like I feel like I'm tweeting out Burke Lipitsky every game.
Burke Lipitsky.
It's just, this is his highest scoring average on a season in like 7 years.
Yeah.
Since what is it? His last Brooklyn year.
Yeah.
Where 16-17, he was averaging 20.5 points. Then he hasn't cracked. He's barely made 13, and now he's at 15.
15 and 6. 2.5 blocks as well. Which is that going to be a career high for him?
Yeah, it is. It's a career high right now. It's mind blowing. Like, just the Brook Lopez on, what was it, the biannual exception, like 5 years ago.
It literally changed the course of Bucks history forever.
It's the best free agent signing in Bucks history.
No question.
Sorry, Greg, but
yeah, that's pretty much the comp, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry, Greg. It's not even close, brother.
I mean, it's amazing. Like, to see what Brook Lopez, like, just if you were to take each side of the ball in which he's doing really well, you'd say this is amazing. If you were just purely looked at the defensive end, he's not doing anything on offense. You're like, this guy's defensive player of the year.
Yeah.
He's doing, like, he's anchoring the best defense in the league. He looks spry. He looks amazing. Wow. It's so great that the Bucks have Brook Lopez. Take that away. Oh my goodness. Brook is doing everything on offense. Yeah. He's hitting his threes. He's hitting his twos. Forget anything he's doing on defense. He's been the second best consistent offensive player for the Bucks. Yeah. It's amazing. He's doing both of those things.
So Giannis is shooting an insane 61% from 2, which is, again, insane.
It feels number. That feels fake. Like, that feels like
just wait.
Made up.
Brook Lopez is shooting 66% from 2 this season. 66% from 2 on 5 attempts per game. And we've said a lot of them are that mid-range jumper. Like, he's just not missing. 36.8% from 3 and 66% from 2. Team high 60.1 EFG, effective field goal percentage. Again, higher than Giannis. And obviously, easier shots, way less per game, but still, he's been the rock on both ends, which we're used to him being the rock on one end, not both.
And he's never been a guy like this. This ties into the culture thing you said up top. He's never been a guy like, oh, I need some shots. Like, I don't get a lot of shots this game. It's fine. Like he shot 6 times against the Timberwolves. Then he was like, yeah, okay, fine. Then he shoots 16 times.
Whatever they need.
Whatever they need.
Yeah.
This is the second time this season he's actually shot 10 of 16 from the field.
Well, and not even just the shots, but how about rebounds? I mean, for big guys, we all know rebounds, like board man gets paid, right? Like that is a big thing because advanced stats are stupid. The general, like there's just perception like, oh, you got to rebound if you're a big guy. He's never cared, and he's never averaged a lot with the Bucks because he's always been the guy to box out and let other people get them.
Yes,
winning basketball player.
And I feel like it's that there's a little bit of a shift going on in terms of like the perception of rebounds. Like
a little bit, it's slow.
It's more of a team stat. I feel like it should be considered that rather than individual stat. But yeah, what you're saying is completely right. Like Brook Lopez, even though he is getting the boards, he's always contributed to getting the boards.
Yes.
It just might not show up on the box score.
Real quick, we're not going to talk about this player much. Do you know who's tied 4th for offensive rebounds per game on the Bucks this year?
Tied 4th?
Yeah. So it's Bobby, Brook, Giannis, which all makes sense.
Is it Jordan Nwora?
No. It is Wesley Matthews in 15 minutes per game. He had 4 against the Thunder. The Bucks had 18.
Where's Jordan at?
Nwora is 7th. He has 0.7. He's tied with Jevon and MarJon Beauchamp.
Oh, okay. I just felt like there was a game where he had like 3.
Jrue Holiday is tied with Wes at 1.3. Team effort on the boards. But yeah,
Team effort on the boards.
Can't say enough. We didn't talk about...
Really is he an all-star?
I'm worried the numbers are just going to be too low and they'll give it to Jrue instead, which is, I would like to see Jrue as an all-star. That's good. He's just still...
Why not both?
I think we all know why not both.
Yeah.
The Hawks are going to get 2. The Cavs might get 3 because I think it'll probably be their backcourt, but they might have a third guy sneak in. I don't think so. So yeah.
And Mobley's numbers are down too.
Yeah. I mean, Jared Allen, but I don't think.
Yeah. No, I'm saying like, there's no chance because they have 4 all-star level guys.
No, they don't.
I think theoretically.
No, they don't.
Okay. Well, so would you say 3 all-star level guys?
2.5.
Because they have 3 guys who have made all-star teams.
I know. If the game is in Cleveland last year, is Jared Allen an all-star?
Was it in Cleveland?
It was in Cleveland.
Oh.
Yeah. Just putting that out there. Just lobbing that out there. That might matter. Who knows?
Jevon Carter are going to be mad at you.
That's fine. I don't think they listen. Hopefully not. Sorry, guys. We haven't talked about Giannis or Jrue yet. Giannis, I remember we talked in our before the year pod. He could average, I think, 30 for the first time, 12 for the first time, and 6 for the first time. Points, rebounds, assists. Currently averaging 32.6 points, 12.9 rebounds, 5.8 assists per game, plus 2.5 stocks. Shooting 61% from 2, 27% from 3. His jumper's been bad all year. I think his numbers are going to go up, I'm pretty sure. His mid-range and his 3 have been bad. And I know people, of course there's Giannis. They were a lot better last year. And I think he's kind of in a shooting slump. And it just hasn't mattered because he's the best player in the world. The spinning baseline dunk on Naz Reid in the Timberwolves game, I don't know if you saw that.
I did.
There's a game where he was kind of bad most of the game. I know he ends up with a triple-double. I got a tweet after that did the stocks like, oh, triple-double, no upstock. I'm not Russell Westbrook. Round numbers don't move me.
Was that John?
Yeah, well, sorry, John. It was. I'm not Russell Westbrook. Round numbers don't move me. But every fourth quarter, it's always his best quarter of any game. He's just such a gamer and winner. Like, I watched the Redeem Team doc over the weekend, and there was a bunch in there, and they whitewashed, Kobe's struggles, just, alleged rape. Like it's kind of a weird way to put it, right? His struggles that he got over. They didn't really talk about that part, which I thought was a little gross. But they talked all about how Kobe changed the culture of that team because his work ethic, 4 a.m. every day, took over in all the games, ran through Pau Gasol, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, yeah, that is the Giannis thing. And you can tell that's why Giannis emulated him on the court, is because like he's just such a killer now. And that's what he didn't have before the 21 playoffs, was that ability to like really take over a game and just control it entirely and just go get bucket after bucket in the fourth quarter. And he has that now. And he grabs a game and doesn't let go. And that's, again, the real quick, fast reasons. Anytime they have a close game late, Giannis is just like, yeah, no, we're actually going to win this. And then they do.
We've been doing this podcast. This is our fourth season doing this podcast. We've covered a lot of good Giannis seasons. We've covered a title season every single time, like first team All NBA season. Like that's just who he is.
That's the standard. Years. Yeah.
I feel like I'm still impressed every day.
Yeah.
Like you would think you would become numb to this. I'm not numb to this.
No.
Even though it feels like we do, because we don't talk about him until like we're an hour into the podcast.
In fairness to us, he's I think the only player we talked about who's sat out a game in this stretch. So maybe Beauchamp has. That's DMPs. It's a little different, but yeah.
But it's we need to make up words, Tom, to be able to talk about this. Like I'm looking at his B-ball ref page right now. Like this has all been talked about over and over again, but it's just like every year the points per game goes up, and it's like, okay, one year it goes down by 1.4 points. What's that year? Oh yeah, they won the title. Like, it's ridiculous how good he is at manipulating space and reading defenses. Like how much smarter he has gotten at the game, like how he sees the game is amazing. Like the number that's really popping to me is the assists, like 5.8 assists. Sure, he's had a 5.9 assist season in the past, again, title year, but he sees the floor at a level where we've been seeing this for years now, where he sees passes better and better. It's just like he's one of the most elite playmakers in the league, and he's not going to have gaudy assist numbers because one, he's going to be scoring nearly 33 a game, and two, his teammates are allergic to getting him the 10th assist.
MarJon Beauchamp, baby.
Yeah, got to get that chemistry. But the way he sees the floor is what's impressed me the most so far this season.
Yeah, and
like the way he can manipulate what the defense is giving him is so good. Like you talked about earlier, the play where he gets the ball to Beauchamp in transition. I think twice. Once Beauchamp flashed to the dunker spot in transition because they were building a barrier, and he just got a layup out of it. The other one was the Beauchamp and one in transition, where it's like, okay, I get the ball, and now there's 4 guys on me, but I already know that Beauchamp's trailing. I'm thinking about passing him the ball before I basically even get the ball.
That play is the biggest example of the value of Beauchamp's athleticism. Is Giannis just has not had. I mean, I thought maybe Bobby could do some of this. It hasn't really turned out. But like Giannis to have a running mate in transition who he can just like, I mean, I think we'll probably end up seeing some lobs in those situations if they keep playing together, where it's just like, oh, I'll just throw the ball up by the hoop and MarJon's just going to slam it. I remember, there was idiots on Twitter who were like, Giannis couldn't get the job done against Boston, right? He averaged 34, 14, and 7 in that series. And shot. He's
the first player to get 200 points, 100 rebounds, 50 assists or something in a series.
Sounds about right. And it's just like we went from, I think about 2 years ago, there was no player that could guard him, but there were systems that were. That Boston team was like an all-time great defensive team. It just didn't matter. Like there's no team can guard Giannis anymore. That's where we're at.
And that was a team, that was a system defense. Like you said, one of the most elite defenses in the league, without Chris Middleton. So it's like you can send even more help to Giannis.
34, 14.7, and 7.1 assists. Like, and that's the other thing. The other reason his assist numbers aren't gaudy is he doesn't play that many minutes. Like, if Giannis went out there and played 37 minutes a game, he might average like 35, 15, and 7 this year. He's just not going to.
Can you imagine what Nick Nurse would do to Giannis?
Oh, no, I don't want to. Don't even put that out in the universe.
No.
But yeah, I mean, I think despite us not mentioning him till the hour mark today, he's the straw that stirs the drink, makes everything possible, and it's an old expression. You never heard that?
No.
It's a good one. It's smooth.
Okay, I like it.
The straw that stirs the drink.
We're back. I feel like last season you had a new expression for me every episode.
I gotta keep lobbing him at you there. But yeah, he's just best player in the world, and he again keeps getting better.
No debate.
Every year we kind of wonder, like, well, I don't know if he can keep getting better. He does.
Did you see the video he posted all over social?
I don't think so.
He was like, God has to keep me humble, because he said like, I can't have everything. I'm handsome. I have a beautiful wife. He said.
Oh, well, congratulations! Congratulations.
I feel like that's the most Giannis way to announce that ever.
Yeah, it is.
Beautiful family, beautiful kids. He said he's handsome. Like I can dominate the paint. He just can't shoot though. Can't make threes. Like, got it to keep me humble.
His quote from the shoes. I can't do everything. Was I wonder if somebody asked him about the quote with the Bucks video where he gave out the shoes. Did you see that?
Yes.
He's like, you'll be able to drive, to dunk better, lift more.
Gyro Step.
Yeah, Gyro Step. And one of the staffers goes, shoot better? Giannis goes, I don't know about that. He's hilarious, man.
He's the best. Like, especially like the NBA has been absolutely exhausting the past week. I feel like it's taken a toll on my mental well-being covering like
everything outside of the Bucks. Yeah.
It's been draining. I feel disgusted. I feel gross just trying to take in all the NBA news. And then you turn around, you're a Bucks fan. It's like, yeah, Giannis is like ripping off Serge Ibaka's shoes.
I was a little concerned. I was like, Giannis, he is big and old. You should not pull him down by his shoes, my guy.
And that's the biggest drama.
Yeah,
it's Giannis. Like, are his teammates wearing his shoes?
Yeah. No, we're
lucky.
And we've talked about he should have come up earlier when we talked about Bucks culture as well, because again, as we've said, like Duncan. You can't have great culture without a great culture setter. And it can't be a coach. Like, it has to be the star player. And that's why Giannis, like a guy like Steph, right? Like, it's so easy to build around these guys because it just, they set the tone in the work ethic and just the way they go about things. And it means, like, you kind of have to fall in line or you look dumb, right? You look like a sore thumb if you're on the Bucks and you're not a great teammate. You're not a hard worker. Like, you're just not going to fit, clearly.
For sure. It's going to be, it's fun. It's like one of the reasons we talked about culture, like you just mentioned, like him and Chris, they've been setting the tone in the locker room. Like Chris had that quote I keep bringing up like a few years back where he's like, we don't tolerate a-holes in this locker room. Like,
yeah.
They set the bar and everything runs through them.
So no Kyrie Irving trade?
Oh my God, Ty. Don't even.
Would that rule out a KD trade too?
I don't know.
How much water does he have to carry for Kyrie Irving before he is included in some degree in Kyrie's foolishness?
I think he has to be included a little bit.
So too, because he is enabled every step of Kyrie Irving.
Yeah. But
that's the guy. I just said.
Enables is a strong word.
I don't think that's the guy who sets the tone for that franchise. And all he ever does is makes excuses for Kyrie Irving.
Because he's not a tone setter. That's why.
Well, that's a problem. That's an issue for them. They lost James Harden because of that. They could have James Harden and all this depth and stuff, and they could have just gotten rid of Kyrie. And that was totally on the table. And KD said, no, I'm not going to be involved. Whatever. I'm with Kyrie no matter what. No matter how much anti-science, anti-Semitic rhetoric he spews out there. I'm just going to stand here and it's the media's fault. That's on him too, in my opinion. So I'm fine if the Bucks don't get him.
Yeah, they're already the best team in the league anyway.
Yeah, go get Boss Man.
Boss Man
just putting out content these days. I'm sorry, it cracks me up. He's getting $10 million. He's sitting there watching SportsCenter. Man, sports is crazy. What?
And it's the funny, like, it's not funny, obviously, but like the Cam Johnson injury. It's like,
I wonder, do they have to bring him back? Boss Man, we have a starting spot for you. Imagine
can you come start now?
He's going to say one condition. I get to put out a hype video announcing it. Imagine like Shams would just steal it, but Woj has to quote tweet a Boss Man video and be like,
he's back.
Yeah, Jay Crowder announces he's returning to the Suns. He ends it with like a Photoshop with a Jordan fax, but it's Boss Man 99. Oh, man.
I love him.
Real quick
Bring him
bounce
home.
around the team because we are an hour, 10 minutes.
Jrue Holiday.
Yeah. So I have a Jrue Holiday take.
Let's hear it.
He's Batman in that.
Oh, no, not this again.
Wait, what did it mean again?
Not the Batman and Robin thing again.
No, I'm not. No, I'm not doing that.
Okay.
I'm not doing that. I don't have the quote right, so it's not a good. But it's like he's not the. What is it? He's not the hero we deserve, but he's the hero we need. I just feel like his offense, it's always just enough. That's the Batman thing doesn't work at all, but it's always like he's just there enough when you need him. And some games are ugly, but then like when he's really needed, like, all right, I've got 29 points and 6 assists and no turnovers against the Wolves and we put them away. Like, I guess that's just also saying he's just kind of an inconsistent scorer who's on a really good team. It's maybe the same thing. But I do feel like when they need Jrue, he's there enough and he gets it done, which considering his playmaking and his defense, like you'll take that from a guy who's realistically your co-second guy who's had to be their full-time second guy this year.
Yeah, it's just like I've talked about this in the past, but you're asking a lot from him if you want him to be like that secondary offensive engine.
Yeah.
And it's just like that's not who he is. That's never who he's been as a player. Like you're going to overtax him doing that. But he hasn't been bad.
No.
Like he's been good.
Some stinkers.
He's had high scoring outbursts. Has it like been the most efficient? Has he had some stinkers? Yes, but he's provided what this team's needed.
At 20 points, 8 assists, 5.7 rebounds, 1.6 steals, and 0.7 blocks. Like, I think if he is like a 20, if he could be 27 and 6-ish or 27 and 5, 25 and 7, the 7 being assists. And if Chris can slide back in at like 22-ish points, that's just fine. Like, I'm okay if Jrue's not scoring an efficient 24 a night. Like, that is expecting a ton. But if he can hover around 20, even if he's like 19 points, but he's bringing a lot of assists and that defense, I think that is like totally perfect. So yeah, I think he's there enough when you need him. Shooting again, 36% from deep, 48% from 2. I just think he should cut out some of those early shot clock jumpers because it's like, look for something better first and then do that. I don't think anyone would have that much of a problem. But outside of that, I've been very happy with this season.
Yeah, not much to complain about. He's been a defensive monster as well. Versatile, we talked about with Jevon Carter. Like you can put him on anyone. You can put him on prime DeMarcus Cousins, and I'd feel okay with that. Wouldn't be ideal.
No, yeah, I wouldn't want to send help and leave a shooter wide open. Let's put it that way. I wouldn't feel like it's disaster level.
No, I feel like his ability to take the ball in the paint. I don't know why I don't know why DeMarcus came. Like, why?
Yeah, I don't know. I like it though.
I'm thinking of a modern like post big.
Who was the random comp I had the other day that people were giving me so much crap for? I think it was you guys. It was like some wing.
Who was it? I can't remember.
Was it Mo Harkless?
No, was it Al Farouk Aminu?
It was Al Farouk Aminu.
Yeah.
I don't even remember what the comp was. Real quick, let's talk about the old guys, and then we can wrap with Grayson. George and Wes. I just have one question. They're playing fine. Wes isn't making a shot. George isn't making many threes. George has been more helpful. Has played more too.
He had a rough Thunder game though.
Yeah. Are these guys going to play more later, do you think?
I think so. I think it's early season. These guys are, like you said, old.
Yeah.
Try to save them a little bit, and you don't have to. Like, you can let guys like Jevon Carter get comfortable. You can give guys like MarJon Beauchamp an opportunity early in the season. Like, that's fine. Like we talked about with Beauchamp, like West is going to take his role like later on. That's almost a given.
The one question though, is there, even without the young guys, I wonder if these two guys could still get squeezed out of the playoff rotation.
There's a chance.
I think Ingles is the swing for the wing. If Ingles looks good, then suddenly the wing rotation, it's like, what the hell do we do?
Yeah, it's going to be tough. It'll probably be easier for George Hill to find minutes rather than Wes Matthews.
Yeah,
but I mean, we know what Wes can do. We know how much of a great defender he is. How much of a stopper he still can be at this age.
Yeah.
It'll be tough. I feel like he'll still find minutes, but is it going to be a reduced role? There's a good chance.
I don't think he's going to start. We'll see.
No,
we'll see.
No, it's too much. It's too much for him. You don't want to chance it.
I do think it's interesting. Like Brook is playing 30 minutes a game. Like I think especially on the half of back-to-backs, it's made sense to me that they've limited Wes. But he's only averaging 15 minutes a game. Like he's not hitting many shots. I get it. He's averaging more offensive rebounds than defensive rebounds, which is hilarious. I still think he just impacts winning at a high level.
Look at the first game of the season. He's hitting the game winner.
Yeah. Like I just think he just comes through. He's so rock solid. But I'm interested. I'm interested to see how, especially him. I think George, 20 minutes a game, probably a little less in the playoffs. Like it makes more sense to me. Wes, I think it's like, I wonder what do his minutes look like when this team is fully healthy and what's his role? It's going to be interesting.
Yeah, it'll be something to watch going forward for sure. But you want to talk Grayson?
Super sixth man, or I guess seventh if it's Bobby's. I don't know how to square that. But what do you think? Grayson on the bench, is it better, or what's going on here, Rohan? You're the Grayson guy.
I think it's looking fine so far. He's proven he can be an offensive spark plug. I think one thing we talked about last episode was like his hesitancy to shoot, coming off movement and stuff like that, like taking advantage of what the defense is doing against him. I thought he's gotten better at that over the last week. He's gotten a lot more like recognizing if the defenders are giving him a shot, he'll take that shot. Like if they're stepping up, he will drive. Like he's getting more confident in his decision making. I think he looks fine. Like he's doing what we want him to do in terms of being an offensive spark plug, but not like if you're in this little bit of a reduced role, you're not getting picked on defense as much. Like I think it's a happy medium for him.
Yeah, and also I do think the fascinating thing about the starters versus the Thunder was, and I tweeted this before the game, the logical, like, safe Bud lineup, right, would have been Jevon, Jrue, Grayson, Bobby, Brook. Because Bobby has typically been the Giannis stand-in or the Brook stand-in, right? A big guy goes down, Bobby starts. And that did happen. But the fun one would have been MarJon and then just play smaller. But instead, it's Bobby and MarJon. So, does Grayson coming off the bench there have anything to do with Giannis being out? Like, I mean, we knew Bobby would slide in and he did. Like, that to me is interesting. And the fact that Jevon stays out there as well. My anticipated, like, oh, this would be really fun lineup was Jrue, MarJon, Grayson, Bobby, Brook, which is like you get your big guys and then let's see MarJon start. The fact that Jevon stays out there and Grayson doesn't really makes me think maybe they are looking to a bench role for him. Like maybe the starters will be Jevon, Jrue, Chris, Giannis, Brook, and then your bench mob. At that point, your bench mob is insane, dude. Grayson Allen, let's like just talent wise, I guess. Bobby Portis, Pat Connaughton, Grayson Allen, like George Hill, and then all those like Wes Matthews, like MarJon, like all these got Joe Ingles eventually
at some point. Yeah.
Like Serge is your 12th guy or whatever. Like that's like such a deep team, and I think there is a benefit there of if Jevon is going to be, and he's been not a starter in minutes. He's playing like 23. He's like 7th or 8th in minutes per game. I kind of like that arrangement of just like he comes in, he's such a low usage player that he can really optimize touches for the big three and just give you that defense, give Jrue that versatility. And then the guys you're bringing in, it's like they're all not just like okay rotation players. They're all good players. They all have like plus skills. And it's like your first 3 bench guys, Bobby, Pat, Grayson. That's an embarrassment of riches, man. Like that's like you're bringing in guys who have all at times started for the Milwaukee Bucks. Like that is really, really plus. So really exciting, I think, to follow how this rotation goes. But don't mind Grayson coming off the bench at all. Hopefully he can continue to play well like he did against the Thunder in that configuration.
For sure. It's going to be, again, that's another trend to monitor going forward.
Yeah.
It's just like, we'll see how this sort of plays out. And we'll circle back to it next episode.
100%.
Is that everyone? Do we have anything else we need to talk about here, Ty?
I think we at least mentioned every player. If not, I'm sure we'll circle back to them next time. Serge is hilarious. TA's not playing. There, that does it. Now that's everyone. But yeah, I think that about wraps it for this special 9-0 undefeated start for the Milwaukee Bucks.
Never lost.
Whew.
I'm tweeting it every game time.
Why wouldn't you?
I just like it's amazing at this point. Like I thought I would have to come up with a bit at this point. Like they're undefeated at home. Undefeated
yeah, usually you have to throw in like when X plays or something like that. Here's a question: if they do win, if they win tonight, should we have to spice it up and do something special here? Once they hit 10, like should we convene after every game?
It's a lot.
That's a lot. I don't know. We'll talk something special. We'll talk about it.
We'll talk.
Because I mean, we're getting to a pretty crazy level here.
Yeah, I mean, they're the only undefeated team, obviously, in the league. Best record. I think Cavs are second.
Yep.
Cavs only have one loss.
It's
crazy.
Is there any other? Do the Blazers just have one still?
Blazers have 3.
Oh,
next highest is 2. Phoenix.
Oh yeah, and they got robbed. It should be the Blazers should have 4 and Phoenix should have 1. Jeremy Grant did a moonwalk before he hit a game winner, and I don't think he got it off in time. Crazy. But anyway, I think we're done. We're talking about Jeremy Grant. Yeah. So,
I mean, we talked about Al-Farouq Aminu. So
every pod.
But no, we're good. Done here. Thank you for listening to this episode of the Gyro Step here on the Gyro Step Podcast Network and the Blue Wire Podcast Network. Like I mentioned up top, make sure you check out all things GSPN at gspn.info. We have a new store edition.
Couple of them, I think.
Yeah, we do. We have some Talk of the Tundra merch.
Ooh. Oh boy.
And Ty, we've got purple win in 6.
That's the perp.
Purple win in 6. I already have an article of that clothing, but I recommend you check out gspnstore.com, or the link is at gspn.info. Good stuff there, Ty. Good stuff there for sure. But also, like I mentioned up top, make sure you go vote in the general election. Tuesday, November 8th. Find your polling place, find your location.
Preferably for people who believe in democracy. I'll leave it at that.
Yes.
I'll leave it at that.
I agree with that 100%. Also, tomorrow's a very special day. Everyone go wish Adam McGee a happy birthday.
Oh, he's going to hate this.
Make sure you tell Adam happy birthday on Tuesday. If you're still listening, Adam, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
But
Adam will hear this in February. So
thank you all for listening. Pod Random, and we will talk to you next time.